Welcome into today's episode of Feed and Ferment. I'm your host, Drew Jones, and today we are making something that's a really lovely day here in Birmingham, but it is quite cold. So we went to the store, checked out to see kind of what they had, and it turns out they had at our local meat market some really nice just chicken drumsticks. So we were kind of thinking about maybe doing some soup anyway, so we are gonna make some chicken tortilla soup. Or something close to it. First thing that we've got going, we've got a little bit of vegetable stock that's here and warm and ready to go. We've got a poblano pepper that is searing right on the gas burner, so we're gonna keep an eye on that. We wanna get that nice and charred. And then over here, what I've got is some chicken that roasted previously because it's super easy to do. When we came back from the store, the kids were screaming for lunch, so season up the chicken. Really simple, little salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika. Toss it in a 375 degree oven and put it in there for about 35-40 minutes. If you're wondering, kind of how to know when it's time to pull those legs out, once you see kind of the meat starting to pull away from the end of the bone, you're more than good. I don't mind going a little over, if you will, on dark meat, just because it is so juicy and kind of so unctuous already that, if you're a little bit over on it, it's gonna be fine, especially because this is gonna basically get reheated and cook for a little bit longer in the soup. So it's gonna have plenty of moisture, so we're not worried about it being dry. Certainly if we were cooking chicken breast, we'd wanna have meat thermometer in there and make sure we're pulling it at about 160 or so. But for the dark meat, we can just go ahead and let it roast until we start to see that and we know we're good to go. So the first thing that we're gonna do, you're grabbing that chicken, had a little bit of fat on the outside, so let's get that washed off. So again, we're kind of looking at the poblano. This is what you want to see, but that black char, we want that all over the pepper. I mean, we want it to look completely black, and then we're going to put it in a bag. It's going to steam, loosen up that skin, and then we're going to pull that skin off. So in the meantime, let's get this big burner going here. We're going to let that pan warm up just a little bit, and then really what we're going to start to do is just kind of build our layers, build our flavors. This is just some of the bacon fat that we rendered off yesterday when we were doing some pasta carbonara. So we saved all that bacon fat. We're going to use that to saute some of our vegetables here. And as for vegetables that are going to get sauteed, we've got some carrot. We're going to chop up some onion real quick. We've got some garlic, a couple of jalapenos. And then we're going to do the stems of the cilantro because we just want the leaves for garnish, but we're not going to throw away the stems. Those have a lot of flavor and we don't want that to go to waste. And then a lot of our bulk flavor is going to come from kind of later on in the end. We had a party going on, and we had a giant thing of salsa that we had gotten from the store left over. So we're going to use that to kind of flavor the soup. So I love this soup because these carrots were left over from something else. The garlic didn't need the whole head from something. Bags of onions are cheap. So this is just a really good leftover, a good way to clean out the pantry. This is some chicken stock that we're going to use. So we're going to use mostly this, and then I've just got the vegetable stock in reserve if needed. And then we're also going to season it up. So this spice mix that you're going to see me dump in, just a blend of salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, cumin, and a touch of cayenne, and then some smoked paprika. So that's really kind of just like a homemade kind of Hispanic, Spanish style rub, whatever you want to call it. So let's check this pepper. So we may be ready to kind of give it a turn. No, still going. Like I said, you really want that skin nice and charred because it's going to be so much easier to peel that if we do that. So this pan is getting good. So in the meantime, let's get one of these onions chopped up. So super simple. This end, it's got this little tail on it. We're going to cut that off, right? And then we're going to go cut it right in half. We want to leave this on. It's going to make this onion hold together much better as we go to get a small chop on it. And also, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've always heard that it kind of helps you not tear up as much when you're chopping onions. So I guess we'll find out soon enough. Let's just get that out of the way. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of cross-hatch this. We're going to go into the side of the onion. We're going to go a couple cuts here, then we're going to go down the top, and then we'll make our little rough dice, small chop, whatever you want to call it. Right, so super easy. The key to this, just make sure you got a really sharp knife. I have seen so many people in the kitchen just absolutely destroy their hands and destroy their fingers when they're chopping stuff. And the reason, and by the way, when you get close to the end like this, where your fingers are, onions are cheap. Don't even bother trying to get closer. You may cut yourself. That's literally maybe 3 cents worth of an onion. It ain't worth it. But a lot of people get injured in the kitchen when it comes to cuts because their knives aren't sharp. So you really want to make sure that you, do a good job regularly of kind of keeping those blades ready for action. Otherwise, like I said, it's just, when the knife is sharp, it's so easy to just barely apply pressure, and it's going to go right through the vegetables. If you got a dull knife, you're going to have to sit there and work at it and hack at it, and nasty stuff can happen. Right, so what I'm feeling for here is kind of my rule of thumb is when the pan is to the point where about 10 seconds or so, I start to feel like I can't keep my hand there anymore. That's when we know that pan is good and hot. So we're there. Turn the heat down just a little bit. Breathe this bacon fat in. A nice little tablespoon. All right, that's gonna start to kind of melt away real quick. Right, a little smoke, not a bad thing. That's all right. Let's go ahead and go in with these onions. Chop for a little bit of that pop. That's the sound we want to hear. I want a good sear and saute on these onions just so we can kind of coax out as much of those natural sugars as possible. We're gonna be doing the same thing with these carrots here. We want to get these nice and soft. Again, the beauty about this is if we go a little bit warmer in the beginning here, we can kind of get this soup done. It's kind of a cheat. We don't have to wait for this thing to simmer, for hours and hours and hours on the stove. We can really get this thing going and done pretty quick. And I mean, you'll see this, on this video. We're really going to be kind of in and out of here in probably at or less than 20 minutes. All right, so that's going. We'll come back. Let's check this poblano again. All right, so that's really what we want right there. That is exactly what we're looking for. Okay, so we're gonna let that char up. I'm gonna get a wooden spoon, something a little bigger than that little metal spoon that we were working with. Okay. And these are just sweating out really nicely now. We're gonna start to get that good saute going. Now on this, I've got that seasoning going in that's got some salt in it. So I don't need a bunch of salt here, but I am gonna go ahead and put a little bit in. That's just gonna really just help draw the moisture out. We'll go ahead and put a little bit of black pepper in as well. Right? Fantastic. All right. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna get this jalapeno going. Right, we're gonna go a pretty small dice on this jalapeno. Really what you wanna do, you cut the tip, the kind of the head off, cut it lengthwise, and then all you gotta do is we're just gonna take a spoon over the trash can and just rake it out. The only reason I'm not doing that here is I just don't want seeds going everywhere. Look at that. Super easy. It's not so much about the heat, it's more about, for me in this, just the texture, right? Like, I mean, this soup is gonna have a lot of other components, so these jalapenos aren't gonna really set the world on fire. What we don't want, for me at least, I just don't like the little seeds in there, having to, kind of bite through them, chew through them, I don't think it's real pleasant, so we're doing this my way today, so we're going to take a look. All right, next thing we're gonna do, again, sharp knife here, guys. We're gonna kind of go into batons, creating some ribbons here. Then we'll go the other way, and what we'll do is we'll have a nice little dice on there. All right, so line all these guys up. Okay, don't rush here. Just hold them kind of as small or as big as you want to go. We're gonna go decent size. I mean, a jalapeno, generally speaking, I mean, they're hot, but they're not like, I mean, these are not habaneros or ghost peppers or anything like that. So we're not like melting anybody's face off. That said, again, they're gonna kind of cook down for a while, so they're not gonna be super crazy intense, right? Okay. All right, so let's just give that a good stir, give that a good mix, make sure everything's got Get some salt going on it. Very nice. Make sure that's kind of spread back out. A little shake, just heating them up. See how Mr. Poblano is doing? Awesome, we're almost there. Let me watch. Let me get a little bit of that jalapeno juice off just so we don't touch that on anything that doesn't need spicy jalapeno juice on it. Awesome. All right, let's get a bag ready to go for that. All right, so again, super easy. As soon as this pepper's done, we're gonna toss it in here. We're good to go. I'm gonna grab 2 more things out of the fridge. We're gonna throw in some squash and some zucchini. A little fire, that's all right. Easy. Or sorry, we're cooking Spanish style kind of inspired soup, so fácil. The only reason I didn't put the squash and zucchini in right up front, I don't want them to like completely disintegrate and be like super soft and just kind of mushy. Like I still want them to have a little bit of texture to it. But we'll go ahead and get them cut up and ready to go in. And now that everything's getting soft here in just a minute, we'll go in with the garlic. Again, we don't want the garlic to burn because it certainly can do that. We want to keep that, kind of that nice, like almost like roasted confit kind of vibe going on, but we really don't want any of that acrid, burnt, bitter taste that garlic can give. So, all right, these guys got a nice little rinse earlier, so they're good to go. But again, we don't really want it, we don't want to go too small here. Gonna kind of keep this chunky. There's a spot not too far from the house that kind of, really the first time I ever saw these kind of vegetables being used in a tortilla style soup, and absolutely loved it. So we're gonna go in half and then in half again. So we got these nice quarters, right? And I'm thinking like maybe about a finger width or so. That's kind of about the width I'm thinking we should go on the veg here. Again, right, nice and easy. So in half. The beauty about this soup is that it makes a lot. Again, it's relatively cheap, and it's just not that much work, and you can leave it kind of sitting out. It's great for, we've done this kind of style for football games plenty of times, and that's probably my favorite way and kind of time to do it, just because I feel like, if we got sports on, so look at that, that's nice and charred all the way around, right? Just gonna pop this in here. We're just gonna leave it. So it's gonna sit in here, and you can already see the steam kind of coming off on that, and you can see it in the bag. So that's gonna steam. We're gonna give that maybe 5 to 10 minutes or so. We're gonna pull it out, and then we're literally just gonna be able to grab a paper towel and just wipe all that skin off. We're gonna get all that charred, smoky flavor, but none of that charred, smoky, bitter skin. So, all right. So that's looking really good. Let's get all this, what they call crookneck squash. See this all over the South. Like I said, we're here in Birmingham, Alabama, so we got access to some really amazing produce in and around our area. Lots of farms within a couple of hours of here, so really awesome stuff. So we'll kind of go about the same size with the zucchini. Right? And if you found like a monster like this at the store, if you want to, just cut it in half, make it a little bit easier to handle on the board. No big deal there. Okay. Right, super easy. I mean, again, I really want these. They're gonna, shrink up a little bit as they cook. Really want that. Really want them to remain having some texture, right? So now here's what we do. Need to go in a little bit more salt here, just for those vegetables we added in. We won't miss the opportunity to put a little more pepper in there. Yeah, nothing too crazy. literally took a grinder, a coffee grinder, and ground up that pepper right before we started filming. So we've got fresh pepper that we're using. It's looking a little dry on the bottom, so I'm just gonna add in a touch more fat. You may not need to, kind of depends on how everything's rendering out. Mine was starting to look maybe a little dry. Now, if you can see this, see these little bits right here, this brown stuff, that's what's called the fond. So that's developing on the bottom of the pan. That is where some of these vegetables are starting to caramelize a little bit. That is exactly what we want to see. Because all of that, that's just free flavor, right? You can't buy that. So, one of the things that I love about this soup is not only is it really easy to do, but I swear I always joke, I tell my wife she must be half Mexican, half Hispanic, because I swear she could eat Mexican food every day of the week. That would absolutely be her druthers. And so this is kind of a nice thing to do in lieu of, like, you know, tacos or something like that. But quite honestly, if you wanted to stop right here, or maybe a few minutes more on these vegetables, once the zucchini and squash get softened up, you're already at a beautiful vegetarian dish. You could add in this chicken that we're gonna add in and have, you know, a nice fajita mix, a nice fajita platter going. Like, the thing is, it's so easy, and you can manipulate this with whatever vegetables are in season. You can do it with different squash. You could do it, you know, with all sorts of fresh produce, fresh vegetables, anything like that. You know, with the chicken, I'm just kind of pulling apart, making sure there's no really big chunks, because I kind of did a rough pull on it earlier. But, you know, you can also kind of go, if you had a bunch of like salsa verde, do that. It really doesn't matter. You can sub out the chicken. You don't have to do chicken. If you got a bunch of leftover pork, do leftover pork. To me, I think the key here is really in the spices. I mean, like, cumin is such a, you know, an indicator of kind of that Southwest cuisine. And I think, quite honestly, as long as you've got cumin in there and like some other chilies and stuff like that, like, everything's gonna turn out fine. It's gonna be good. It really doesn't matter what you put in there. You can go shrimp in here. You could go ground beef, ground turkey. You know, honestly, the only thing I really probably wouldn't do, and it may be fine anyways, I probably wouldn't go buy like Italian sausage and do this, just because of the, you know, the fennel and stuff. I think could be, you know, a little bit kind of awkward here. But again, like all of those warming spices, it's such an easy soup to put together. It's so cheap. Right, so that's it. Chicken's done, shredded up. So now, as this is getting ready, these vegetables are getting nice and soft. So you go ahead and knock all that garlic in there. Right? Get all these seasonings in there. Bam! So sometimes I do give that little ode to Emerald, and this is great. You guys will get a kick out of this. Years ago, we only had our first child was only maybe 6 months old. My wife was doing her PhD at a university here in Birmingham at Sanford. And by the way, real quick, all we're doing is we're just gonna let these spices go for about 5 minutes or so. We really just kind of want to cook out the, get that kind of raw spice taste out of them. So just let them kind of hang out for just a few minutes. But anyway, so I've got these brewery reps in town, so we wanted to go to dinner, and we went to a place called Bottega. And I actually had our 6-month-old with me in a, you know, fine dining restaurant. He's in the car seat. My wife was, you know, she's on the way. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, you just tell me when you're here to pick him up. I'll run the car seat outside, flip it in, and you can go ahead and go. While we were, you know, kind of at the age where we were having to tag off parent duties every day and all that. And anyway, so she calls me. She's like, hey, I'm about to pull up. I'll be there in like 2 minutes. I was like, great, no problem. So I walk out front of this restaurant, and I'm kind of, you know, in my own little zone, like looking for the car, like, and I've got my kid. But as I'm walking out, I hear this voice, and it's just this, hey, yo, you got a cute baby. And I was like, kind of kept walking for a second. I was like, wait, that sounded so familiar. And I turned and look, and there's Emerald Lagasse, like walking into the restaurant. And so I hated to be kind of that guy, you know. I was like, I mean, the worst he could say is no, right? So I was like, hey, man, my wife is never going to believe this unless I have a picture, and she's about to be here. I was like, can I snap a picture with you? And it's like, sure enough. So, anyway, yeah, got a picture with Emerald holding the kid. And anyway, so every now and then when I'm cooking, I like to throw the Bam out there just to kind of remind myself, of him. So anyway, put a little splash of white wine in there. That's gonna do two things. One is gonna kind of deglaze the bottom of this pan. Things are, man, if you guys could smell this right now. I mean, it is, one of these days they're gonna have smell-o-vision, I promise. But all of those spices are nice and, cooked through, and just that warming smell, the cumin, the paprika, and you see that white wine has kind of started to help us thicken up and make a little bit of sauce with some of that bacon fat that was in the pan. So now, again, guys, this is, it really doesn't get easier than this. We're gonna dump all this chicken in. All right. Now we know we want to have some cilantro for garnish in the end. So let's pull those leaves. I'll leave those kind of sitting right there. All right, but in the meantime, let's just get a really nice chop going on the stems. And it's fine, I know we got some leaves in there, that's all right. Right, run our knife through. Okay. Those stems just have like an extra bit of almost like, I don't know how to describe it other than woodiness, really. But I think it's so nice when they have a chance to cook down a little bit. They just give this depth of flavor. So we're not only layering all the flavors of the soup, but then we're layering the flavors of even the cilantro and getting a different kind of component out of the stems that are gonna cook in this versus, the leaves that we're gonna garnish with. All right. So next up, chicken stock. Everybody into the pool. Let's kind of get this going. So you can see how thick this is, right? I like to start them here because it's, it's one of those things like you can always add. This is a pretty quick soup. You can add more liquid if you want, but it's real hard to take liquid away. I mean, you just have to simmer it for a while. But again, at that point, the vegetables are kind of turning into mush. And on that note, let's just see where we are. They've still got that little bit of crunch to them. That's exactly what we want. We don't really want it going, too much further. Because again, I don't want them to just fall apart and be kind of that mushy, like, I think people that don't like squash when they grow up, I think it's because maybe when they were younger, they had, their parents just boiled the squash to death on the stove. I mean, and these vegetables are beautiful. Give them a little color, caramelization, season them properly. They're gonna be fantastic. So, all right. Now let's add some tomatoes in the form of salsa. Again, you could add, if you didn't have this, I mean, a little tomato paste, in with that wine, sure, no problem. You could also do, canned tomatoes if you wanted to. Heck, you can do that. There's a pretty famous can of, tomatoes that people buy when they go to make dips and stuff like that. You could even add something like that in. So, all right. Now, if you can get a good view of this, you see kind of where we are, liquid-wise. I mean, I feel good about that. I like where we are. We've got one more ingredient that we're gonna bring in here, and that's some corn. It is winter time, so corn, we're kind of out of corn season, but what that means is that a lot of the corn got harvested, shucked off the cob, and frozen. So there's nothing wrong with buying frozen vegetables. The processes and technology that they use now to flash freeze produce, I'm telling you, don't be afraid to go down that freezer aisle, and especially given the fact that right now, like most of the time, you're getting bags of broccoli, bags of corn, it's like $1. That's a heck of a lot easier, especially if it's the weekend. We've had college basketball on here, just hanging out, relaxing. Got to do taxes at some point, so 10 hours later after getting that done, now we get to finally cook something. But don't stress yourself out about having to roast corn. I mean, if it's the middle of the summer and you got the time to do it, heck yeah, man, go for it. Or if you got the smoker going, doing some pork or something like that, throw some corn on there, shuck it down, vac seal it, and then you've got it kind of roasted corn ready to go with whatever. That's awesome. That's not what we were today. Today we knew we were gonna be in a bit of a time crunch, frozen corn, make it easy. So, hey, and honestly, I just found about a half a bag of another one left over, so we're gonna go with both of these. Why not, right? Like I told you guys, this is a fantastic way to kind of clear out the fridge, clear out the pantry. There we go. So easy. That's gonna bring our temperature down just a little bit, which is good, because what I don't wanna do, again, can't stress this enough, is we don't wanna overcook that beautiful squash. So, you know, that corn kind of in there. Love it. We love corn, so I know, again, if that's too much for you, don't worry about it. You don't have to put that much. You can go with just a half bag. You can go with one bag. But we had it left over, needed to get used up, and we love it around here. So we're enthusiastic about our corn. Now, looking at that, I think maybe we need a little bit more liquid. So again, we had our veggie stock ready to go. Oh yeah. All right, so really here's gonna be our hallmark of knowing it's done. We're gonna bring that back up to the boil, and then we're gonna turn it down, let it simmer for just 2-3 minutes, and we're out of here. In the meantime, some other stuff that we're gonna get ready to do. So we gotta think about garnish, right? What are we gonna put on the top of this soup when it comes out? So we've got the tops, the cilantro here. So what I'm kind of doing is I'm gonna bunch it up on itself. Makes it a lot easier to get that knife through, get a nice chop. We don't wanna go too small, right? This is not the time for people that have like whatever the thing is, the genetic thing where it tastes like soap. You would not be able to eat at Mexican night at our house if you have the soap thing, because we use a ton of cilantro here. Okay. All right, so that'll be ready. All right, let's get this out of the way. All right, the next thing that I always need with chili, taco soup, any kind of soup like this, I gotta have cheese, I gotta have dairy. We go through an absurd amount of cheese in this house, mainly because of me, and I think I trained our kids to be the same way. So we're gonna kind of do two things with this soup. A lot of times, sour cream may be the more, historical like thing that you would think of, like, oh yeah, what about sour cream with chili, or sour cream with a tortilla soup? I'm not the biggest sour cream fan. My wife's not either. So we love using Greek yogurt. Not to mention it's so much more versatile for doing other things, other sauces. Obviously, if you're doing anything Mediterranean influence, you got it. Super healthy in the morning when we get back from the gym. Just a great snack as well. The kids love it. So we go that. We pretty much always have Greek yogurt in the fridge, and it's great for a dairy top, for a situation like this, or just to have for, again, smoothies, yogurt bowls, whatever you want to do. So let's grab that. We're just gonna put a little bit here, and then the only other thing that we're gonna get ready, the only thing you want to do, by the way, with Greek yogurt, give it a little stir. Sometimes the liquid, the whey or whatever, will kind of separate out, but no big deal. A little stir. And we're just gonna plop it in this, and then we'll have it ready for. We gotta plate some up for ourselves. Again, guys, I love it because we can clean the fridge out. Greek yogurt is super healthy. It's got all of those good gut bacteria that you want. The same good gut bacteria that you can make really great lambics with if you're in Belgium. And the thing I love is that it's also got this nice, it's got this tang to it. This acidic punch that I think sour cream just, it kind of has it, but nothing as pure as this. So, that's so good. That's so good. If you're not buying Greek yogurt, you're doing yourself a disservice. All right. only other thing, that we're gonna get, typically, if this was like the middle of summer, we would have done some fresh guacamole and all that. But alas, avocados are not really in season right now. They are really expensive at the store. And on top of that, when we were there earlier, they just didn't look that great. They're all super green, so there was no way we were going to be able to get them soft enough to use tonight. So we just got some store-bought guacamole, and that is totally fine because that's what we're going to use. So we're going to put a little bit of that on there as well. All right, we literally have about, I don't know, 2 minutes left on that. Just enough time to grate some cheese. All right, we got kid vitamins. We don't need that in here. Now, here's the thing. I do not like buying the pre-shredded cheese packs because they have this waxy coating on them from the manufacturer that makes it really hard for that cheese to melt. So, is it a little bit more work? Yes. Is it worth it 1,000% of the time to shred your own cheese? Yes, 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 and yes. And in case you didn't hear any of those yeses, yes. Shred your own cheese, it's a little bit of work. It's not that much work, guys. And again, just texturally, you're gonna be so much more happy. Don't bite your fingernails, kids. It makes opening packets of cheese really hard. Oh my gosh. See, I went and got the knife and then I felt like this little flap and I was like, I'm gonna Hulk out on camera. I'm gonna be able to do this and everybody's gonna be like, he's so strong, he got the cheese open. Didn't happen. Did not happen for me. All right, so the cheese I've got, sharp cheddar, because kids love it. I know I can put it in their lunches for, obviously, what we're not gonna use all of this. But also this is like the boss cheese for macaroni and cheese. I have some other random tidbits of like some Fontina, some Pecorino. I've got a couple, a Jasper Hill Willoughby, half of a wheel, some Latour. The reason I'm saying that is this is gonna be the backbone to an amazing mac and cheese that we're gonna do a video on. And we're literally just gonna take all these leftover cheeses that we have and just make a cheese sauce that's gonna absolutely blow your mind. So, let's just grate a little bit here. Again, this is just enough to go on the top. Plus a little extra because I know when my kids come up from watching a movie downstairs, if they don't have cheese available to snack on, I'm gonna have to hear about it. Which is fine, they can have their cheese. But the biggest mistake I ever made was, me and the wife, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut a chunk here for them. There, I'll split that up for the kids. Not even joking, we were having a date night one night. And, well, it was sort of a date night. More like a family movie night, right? Like, we had, like, some leftover pizza and stuff like that we had made. So we're going to give that to the kids. And, again, had some of these, like, random cheese tidbits and stuff. So I was like, let's kind of do, like, a quick charcuterie board. This is Monterey Jack, by the way. Good, melty, stringy cheese. So, again, for mac and cheese or for grilled cheeses, for that matter. Anyway, so back to this charcuterie board, right? So like I built this thing out and we've got probably 5 or 6 different cheeses, 3 or 4 salamis I'd gone to the store for. And we sit down at our dinner table and the kids are like eating pizza, like crushing it, like good pizza. And next thing I know, they're like, Mommy, Daddy, I want that, what's that, what's that, what's that? So, in my ignorance, I thought, oh sure, why don't I let the kids try the really expensive cheese? There's no way at all they're gonna like things like Blackberry Farm Hawkins Haze. They're not gonna like something like a 36-month-old Parmesan Reggiano. There's no way that they're gonna like Roquefort blue cheese. Well, friends, you can probably guess where this story is going. Turns out they liked all those cheeses. And now, once a week, we get asked, Mommy and Daddy, to go to the store and buy the fancy meat and cheese. So tonight, their fancy cheese that they're gonna get is they're gonna get a little sharp cheddar and a little Monterey Jack, because as you can imagine, that will take down anyone's family food budget very quickly if you're doing charcuterie every night. So, all right, literally just enough time for that to happen. This soup's looking good. I'm actually gonna go ahead and kill the heat on it. Just gonna kind of let it sit here. Again, the big thing I don't wanna do, I really don't wanna cook those vegetables to the point where they're just like super, super soft. Now, the last thing we gotta get added in is we're gonna leave that cheese there. That's gonna be a topper for us. Remember this poblano pepper? Check this out. Too many paper towels. All right, watch this. This is crazy, right? Just wipe the skin off. Ta-da! Just wiping it off. And now, and it's fine if there's a little bit on there, right? We just don't want like all that like charred, burnt skin and the the flavor of the soup. A little bit's all right, you know? And it looks terrible right now, which is fine. Don't worry about that. So here's what we're gonna do. Sorry, there we go. Make that a little more manageable to hold together. I'm literally just gonna, I'm just gonna get a plate. I'll knock it out real quick. I'll do a quick dice or chop. Again, you really don't have to be, with something like this where it's going in this soup, this is a rustic soup, you don't have to be super fancy here. You don't have to get perfect knife cuts. I mean, I'm starting at the end because I don't mind the seeds here because they've taken on a little bit of flavor. I just want all the seeds from the jalapeno, right? That's it. That, we'll take that part off. We've got a nice rough chop already. Maybe run through it once the other way. That guy added in there. Super easy, super quick. And I mean, just like that, we've had, let's ask cameraman, how long have we been filming here? Right at 32 minutes? 37, okay. I didn't understand the hand signals. All right, super quick, let's check for seasoning. Touch of salt. Again, we didn't want to over salt in the beginning because you can always add more. Once you salt it, you can't take it away. It's actually not true. You can actually put a bunch of potatoes in here if you over salted it and they would soak up the salt and then you can pull the potatoes out. Or we just not over salt the soup, right? We want to be bold with our seasoning, but we don't want to be careless. All right, so let's try that again. Done, perfect. All right, let's get this plated up. And I got a special treat to show you guys. So this is gonna be super quick, super easy. Oh, let's see here, honey. Tell you what, just so we can see everything, not a traditional soup bowl, but that's all right. If you guys saw the carbonara video, you saw me use these. I love these, but I don't know why I like these so much. I just love these bowls. Plates, bowls, I don't know what they are. Shallow bowls, high-walled plates. I don't know. Look at that. See how spread out it is, right? So now we can see everything. All right, check this out. You know we need a little bit of that cheddar, or that Monterey Jack, with cilantro. Now sometimes what happens is when you're trying to top everything, you drop a piece of cheese. Okay, take care of it. Don't let anybody see you do that. Don't let them know there was extra cheese available that they didn't get. Give this plate a quick rinse. Super quick, we're gonna knock out a lime. We need the lime. I like to cut the end pieces off like this because that's actually like really good juice to squeeze into something. I told you I got something special for y'all. Right? Just gonna leave this guy maybe right here. Okay. Do this dollop of yogurt right there. I know I'm killing the cameraman because I'm all over the place here. Check this out, super easy, super fast. Again, did not have time, nor the energy, nor quality ingredients to do a good fresh guac. No big deal. Look at this, here we go. So that's right there. If you're going to have any sort of Southwest themed soup, tacos, enchiladas, burritos, whatever it is, I'm telling y'all, if you do not have this in your fridge, you have got to get Valentina. This is the best all-around hot sauce, in my opinion, for anything. Go to the store, buy you some wings, toss it in this, throw them in the oven to heat them up. That is our football game day snack. This stuff is incredible. We're gonna go a little bit of Valentina on there. All right. Last thing for the soup. We got some homemade tortilla chips. Why did we go through the trouble of making homemade tortilla chips? Because we had a bunch of tortillas because the store only had like a 50 pack. So, you know what? I don't even want to break them up. I'm just gonna put them right there. And those are just seasoned up with a little salt and pepper. All right, here you go. Y'all ready? Here's the special treat. All right, get a good shot of the back of the shirt and the back of the hat. That logo means we are having good Southwest themed food. This is the Stone Buenaveza Salt and Lime Lager. If you've ever had a Modelo with salt and lime, you know exactly what this tastes like. This is an independently owned American craft brewery. Oh my gosh, that cup, it's too big for just one beer. Independently owned, started in San Diego back in '96. These guys are known for spitting out like just fire IPAs. And then about a year and a half ago, they released a salt and lime lager because the Mexican beer category, fastest growing category in the United States. And Stone said, I see you category. We gonna get in and play now. And guys, I'm not joking. This is like, to me, this is the beer for this type of food. I mean, if it's Southwest cuisine, we're having Buenavezas. I've got 19.2 ounce cans downstairs. I got a whole nother case of the bottles. I mean, we put work in on this beer around here when we're having this type of food. And if you don't believe me, see, watch what happens to this beer real quick. I'm just gonna slide it. You don't even have to watch. I'm just gonna slide it to the cameraman, and you're gonna see how much of it disappears as my beautiful assistant here is holding the camera. So let's grab this bowl. Hopefully you guys can see this good. Let's get that lime all up in there, right? Let's get that lime up in this. Here we go, taste time with that yogurt. Everybody knows what the guacamole tastes like. Everybody's had guacamole. Yogurt's where it's at, I'm telling you. I mean, it's smoky, it's spicy. You've got the bacon fat that we started, the chicken, the acidity from yogurt, the melty cheese thing going on, the brightness of the fresh cilantro, and a cold beer to wash it down with. Guys, make this at home. This is one of the easiest things you're ever gonna do. It's no work. Clean out your fridge, make it for friends and family, grab yourself some Buenaveza and have fun. Cheers.